The Nation Address broadcast will be coming live from Johannesburg. I'm with Elisa Jali today.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, been a very interesting past couple of days, and I must say 2 weeks, you calling it a couple of days. I mean, the nation was waiting in stitches for, first of all, the resignation of President Jacob Zuma, which eventually tendered in his resignation on Wednesday.
Yeah, it's been a really interesting time in the newsroom for the last couple of weeks. Day after day, there were expectations created. Of course, South Africans waited. Social media was a buzz.
Yeah,
weeks on weeks.
It's still a buzz, even.
Yeah, I think the analysts also had to talk a lot over the last couple of weeks because a lot happened and then nothing happened for a long time, and then suddenly everything sort of happened in a day. Yeah. A landmark day for South Africa.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of people praising our young democracy, saying the fact that there's no upheaval or aftershock of the events that took place, the fact that a president can resign and no violence or protests are actually breaking out. It just goes to show that our young democracy is aging pretty well. Eben, what else is coming up?
Yeah, I was quite impressed also by President Jacob Zuma's call for no violence after. Yeah. You know, there were lots of rumor mongering and lots of loose talk, as you do get in today's world, on social media and in mainstream media about what would happen next. But we've managed it very well as South Africa, and now it's only forward.
Yeah, and I think we should thank South Africans for that.
But the trade performance of the country, that's likely to come under the spotlight during the State of the Nation address. And you can talk about trade in this country without. You cannot talk without including KwaZulu-Natal, with 2 major seaports and a designated special economic zone that's geared to promote foreign and local investment. The East Coast is a key contributor to the country's economy.
KwaZulu-Natal, home to 2 major seaports and a designated economic zone to promote foreign and local investment.
Besides a number of challenges and the constraint in the global and the economy of the country, in terms of the contribution to the GDP of our country, KwaZulu-Natal is doing quite well. In 2015, we contributed, in the last quarter of 2017, I think we contributed 3% and a 3% increase. And before that, we were at 3.4%. We're hoping that will continue. Our intention is to ensure that we grow the GDP, our contribution to the GDP of our country should continue to grow from 3% at least to 5% by 2020, so that we are able to reach the NDP target by 2030.
The ports of Durban and Richards Bay are bustling. Durban is one of the country's main conduits for trade.
It reaches manufacturing industry, it reaches the mining sector, it reaches your restaurant, because most of the refrigerated cargo comes through the port here. It also supports the agricultural space where fertilizers and grain gets imported and exported to the port of Durban. It's got huge impact.
Durban's air freight volumes are also soaring. International cargo increased by almost 14% in the third quarter compared to the same period the previous year.
We've managed to attract new airlines to fly from this airbase. So over the past 2 years or so, we've seen the introduction of air services by Turkish Airlines, by Qatar, ProFlight from Zambia, So that additional airline capacity, especially your wide-bodied aircraft by those major long-haul carriers from the Middle East and Europe, that has increased the cargo capacity available. So as a result of that, a lot of manufacturers who are based in this province have been using that available belly capacity. But over and above, your passenger aircraft, we've also seen an increase in dedicated cargo freighters landing at King Shaka International Airport.
Since the airport opened almost 8 years ago, the Durban Cargo Terminal has demonstrated a positive trend.
When we started, we did not have a lot of export into sub-Saharan Africa. I think it's been one factor that has grown a lot over the last, I would say, 3 years specifically. So markets like Kenya and Angola, we've seen growth which was non-existent when we operated. But also, be that as it may, we've also seen that the trade tends to be very one-directional. So we export a lot to a lot of these sub-Saharan African countries, but there's very little coming back. But obviously, as those countries improve their manufacturing bases, that picture will sort of change.
Cargo volumes are expected to expand by up to 12% by the end of the 2017-18 financial year.
And staying with the